All right. So, everyone, I welcome you to Amdor Analytics Bootcamp. This bootcamp is designed to train you for 2 days on the basics of data analytics. Please, uh, please, if you're here, your mic is on, you can please mute your mic. When you join an online meeting, the first thing you check is for your mic and your video. You please mute yourself so that you don't disturb those who are already present. That's the first thing you do when you join in online meeting. Please always be conscious of your mic so you don't distract the class. All right. So like I said before, my name is Ifeanyi Chukwuonyechere. I am the lead instructor for data analytics at Amdor Analytics. So this is a 2 days free bootcamp where we introduce you to how to use some tools in Microsoft Excel. Now, I know that many of us here know about Microsoft Excel. If I ask how many persons have used Excel, I will get a handful of person that can ascertain that they have used Excel either to record data or to do simple analysis or even to plot their graph. But when you ask how many persons sorry guys for that, please. I'm really sorry for that. Some persons are not conscious of their mic. So like I was saying, if you ask some persons have they used Power Query before in Excel, the answer may be yes, the answer may be no. Reason being that this tool is in Excel, but not everyone know about it. And even those that know about it might not really know how to use it. So the aim of this bootcamp is just to introduce you to Power Query and how to use it with Microsoft Excel. Anyone that wants to learn data analytics, the first thing that you'll be told is always learn Excel, always learn Excel. That is what you always hear. When you want to learn data analytics or even data science, you always hear, first of all, learn Excel. First, learn Excel. Now you have learned Excel and they're telling you now there's something in Excel you have not learned and you're asking what is it? And you're being told it is Power Query. And you're asking yourself again, what is Power Query? So in this bootcamp, I will try to simplify the need for Power Query and why you should use Power Query in Excel. So this is me, this is my experience and the number of persons I have trained so far in my 3 years of experience. So today's topic, like I said, is how to automate data workflow in Excel using Power Query. So how do you automate your data workflow in Excel using Power Query? Now, first of all, let's start with what is Microsoft Excel. You're an ardent user of Excel. You use Excel every day in your work, in your workplace, in your school, in your daily life. You're using Excel. So Excel is just a spreadsheet program used for data collection, management, and storage. That's how you can define Microsoft Excel. It's a spreadsheet program used for data collection, management, and storage. If you have experience working with Google Sheets, you are closer to working with Excel. So if you have used Google Sheet before, you're closer to working with Microsoft Excel. Just that Google Sheet is owned by Google, while Excel is owned by Microsoft. But they are under the same family, which is the spreadsheet family. So this is an example of a sheet that you will see in Microsoft Excel. You have your data, you have your calculations, and you have everything you need in the spreadsheet. So anyone here who has done analysis with Excel before is familiar with this environment. This shouldn't be something new to you. You're familiar with this environment. So why Power Query? Now, you know about Excel. You have used pivot table. You have used data validation. You have used named ranges. You have used conditional formatting. Now, you're now asking yourself, why Power Query? Why must I learn Power Query? Why should I know about Power Query? What is this software all about? Is it a software? Is it a tool? Will I install it? Will I download it? What is this thing all about? So let's understand what is Power Query. Now, before we move into to explain what Power Query means, let's give a typical business use case. So this is a use case that you will see when you're either working under an organization, working for a client, you're a freelancer working for your clients, or you're a consultant. You might have something like this as a business use case. So you walked into your office on a Monday morning or a Tuesday morning, you sat down on your desk and you say your prayer and you're ready for the work for the day. You open your email and this is what you see in your email. Your supervisor or your boss sends you your first email address as a new employee for the organization. So the subject is your first data analysis project. Hi, Ifa Ijuku, welcome to the team. For your first project, you analyze our sales performance by working with data from several sources. Now, the sources are large Excel files. That is, some files exceed 2 million rows. So some files you have exceed 2 million rows. So it could be up to 4 million, 5 million, 10 million rows. So this is what we call big data. When you have data that is getting up to 10 to 20 million rows, we call it big data. There are data like that. I know that most of you here might have worked with data that is maybe 100 rows, 1,000 rows, 300,000 rows. But when you start working with big data, you start encountering data that has 2 million rows, 10 million rows, 20 million rows. So this is an example of a large file that you are asked to process. Next one is an online data. Market trends available in HTML, text, or JSON format. So the data for this company is also found online, and it is either in the format of HTML, a TXT, or JSON format. And again, they have data stored in their internal database, because every company, every organization have their data stored in a database. If you're working in a small or medium company, you might not have an internal database. Maybe your own case, you'll be using something like Microsoft Access. For most of us here who are the OGs in Office program, those who use Office 98, Office 2327, you might have at some point in your learning or work time use Microsoft Access. Though in recent times, Microsoft Access is no longer in vogue because we now have better softwares that can replace Microsoft Access. But that doesn't mean that some companies are not using it. Companies are still using it. That is why in every version of Microsoft Office, Microsoft still releases Microsoft Access because some companies are still using it. But in our own case here, our data is stored in a database. It could be Postgres, SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL, and so on. Now you're being asked, please consolidate and clean this data set to generate actionable insights. Remember, our internal software of choice is Microsoft Excel. Let me know if you have any questions. Best, Chinyer. That is all you're being given for your business use case. And you sat on your table for over 20 minutes. You're sweating under AC because you don't even know where to start. You understand that Excel has a limit of 1.5 million rows. But in this case now, you're being told that the data you're working with exceeds 2 million rows. What it means is that Excel cannot handle that data because the data exceeds Excel's limits. Excel has a limit of 1,000,54789 rows. You can check your Excel software, just press your Control down key, look at the last row in your Excel sheet. You'll see that Excel has a limit. So anything that is above that limit, Excel cannot handle it. Again, you have online data that is stored online. And if you are a good user of Excel, you will know that Excel does not handle online data. It can only open CSV files or Excel files. Whether it's HTML, TXT, or JSON, Excel cannot handle it. And now you're being told to use Excel to open these files. And also, you're being told to use Excel to connect to an internal database. And you know also that Excel cannot connect to a database because you have not seen Excel before connect to a database, but you're being told to connect to a database, and you must use Excel because that is the internal software of choice in the company you are being employed in. And you sat there confused, not knowing what to do. So how do you solve this business use case? This is where Power Query comes into the picture. This is where Power Query comes to the rescue. So these three use cases we have here, large Excel files, online data and to connect from an internal database, Power Query can help us achieve this business use case. Now, what is Power Query? Let's define Power Query. We have different persons, different organizations, different institutions defining Power Query. What exactly is this Power Query we are talking about? So Power Query is a data transformation and connectivity tool that enables users to connect to various data sources, clean and transform data, and load it into a destination. Now, this is from an analytics lens. So you're saying that Power Query is used for data transformation and is used to connect to different data sources to clean the data, transform it, and load it into a destination. So the destination can be back to a database, back to Excel, back to Power BI, anywhere at all. But there will be a destination where you load this data. From Microsoft, they are saying that Power Query is a data transformation and data preparation engine. It comes with a graphical interface for getting data from different sources and Power Query editor for applying transformations. This is a definition from Microsoft. Now, for data scientists, data scientist, that is their name, data scientist, not data scientist, data scientist. So they're saying that Power Query is a data extraction, transformation, and loading tool that enables users to connect, import, and prepare data from various sources for subsequent analysis in Excel. Now, when you read all these three definitions, there are keywords that are applicable to all these three definitions. There are keywords that connect all these three definitions, and that is the word transformation and preparation. Transformation and preparation. This is the keyword that you will see in all these three definitions. The first one mentioned what? Data transformation and connectivity tool. Microsoft mentioned data transformation and data preparation engine. The third one mentioned data extraction, transformation, and loading tool. So the keyword there is what? Transformation, preparation, and it also helps you to load to a destination. That is what exactly we mean by Power Query, a data extraction and transformation tool that enables you to connect to different data sources. Now, our business use case is what? A large Excel file that is up to what? More than 2 million rows of data. An online data source and an internal database. Now, since Power Query can help us to connect to different data sources, so what it implies is this tool or this software we are trying to learn can help us to solve this business use case that is being given to us on a Monday morning when we are even yet to start the day. So Power Query can help us solve this business use case. And the truth about the matter is it is very fast. No need to double around or play around. It's a very fast and straightforward tool. That is, if you know how to use it and how to use it to achieve your goal. So when you come to Excel, for many of us that know about Excel and how to use Excel, this is the interface of how to get to Power Query. So you come to your data tab, you go to your get and transform group. Under there, you will see your get data option. So this is how you use Power Query in Excel, how to activate Power Query in Excel. Now, when you click on your data tab and under your get and transform group, you see get data option. You realize that we have different options. We have from file, we have from database, from Azure, from online services, from other sources, and we also have the launch Power Query editor. So in this case, our use case is what? From database. Now we have seen an option to help us connect to a database. We have from online services. So what it means that we can also connect to an online service. And we have from file, that is our Excel files that exceeds 2 million rows. So you have seen that the option we are looking for, Power Query has those options from file, from database, and from online services. So when you click on that number 3 here, which is your launch Power Query editor, you now land here, which is the interface of Power Query, we'll still see all these things in action. We'll still look at all these things in action. Now, let's start with the first one. Now, this is a data that we have in Excel. This is the data that we have in Excel. Now, let's try to do some transformation here. Let's quickly try to do some transformation here and see what will happen. Now, I would love to extract the year from this date column. I would love to extract the year from this date column. So I'm told to extract the year from this particular date column. So I will just come here, insert a new column. I will call this my year column. So using my text function, I will select this and I will try to extract my year from this column. So now I have my year values, right? So now I have my year values extracted from this particular column here. Now, since I have my year in this column, I don't need this date column again. I don't need this date column again. So what it means is that I have to delete this date column. I have to delete it. Now, if I delete it, automatically my column here breaks. My column here breaks with a ref error, which simply means that this function here is trying to reference a column that does not exist. I have gotten my column of choice, which is the year column. Now, when I try to delete this, because I don't need this column again, the values will break. The function will break because I have now removed the column that it depends on. So you are not asking yourself, what can I do? How can I fix this particular issue? These are things Power Query can do for you. These are things Power Query can do for you. So this is an example of what Power Query can help you solve. Now, another instance, we have a file. We have a file in a particular folder. So let's say we have a file in our folder here. So this is a file we have. This is a data set we have. It's a TXT file that we have inside our computer. It's called libra.txt. And we are trying to load it into Excel for analysis. We are trying to load it into Excel for analysis. But because Excel cannot handle TXT files, like I told you, Excel can only handle files that end with CSV and XLOXX. That is Excel files and CSV files. But when you try to load a TXT file, or any other file that is not CSV and Excel, Excel will find it difficult to load. But you know the requirement that Excel is your internal software of choice. You can't use any other software except Excel. And you're being told to load this data into Excel. How do you go about it? These are places Power Query can help us. So guys, I believe that you're understanding the gist of how Power Query is trying to help us solve some business use case using Excel. Power Query is just there to help or support Excel to do some transformations and do some cleaning or preparation that Excel is unable to handle, which we have in our business use case, large data sets. We have online data sources, and we have internal database. So like I told you, when you come here, you see that Excel has a limit of 1,485,76 rows. That means anything above this limit, Excel cannot handle it. But you have a record that is more than this limit. Power Query can help you achieve it. So let's go to how to bring in Power Query. So I will click on data. This is my get data option under the get and transform group. Click on get data. I will click on launch Power Query editor. So once I click on launch Power Query editor, I now have my interface opened. So this is the interface we saw in the PowerPoint slide. This is the home tab. the transform tab, the add column tab, and the view tab. This is the interface you saw in the slide. So this is Power Query. This is Power Query. This is where you perform your transformation. This is where you perform your data cleaning process. For most of us who understand data analytics or who are still learning data analytics, you understand that there's a stage called data cleaning. There's a stage called data preparation. It can also be called data transformation or data wrangling. It has different names. It can be called cleaning, preparation, transformation, or wrangling. Now, if you want to wrangle or clean your data, Power Query is also the engine that can help you do that. Now, let's attempt to bring in our txt file that we have in our folder, knowing very well that Excel cannot handle that data because it is a txt file. Excel can't handle it. Now, let's go back to my Excel. Let me close this. So back to my Excel. Let me try to see if I can load that txt file. So I'll click on open. I will locate the file where it is on my desktop. We have this. Now you can see this is the folder where I have that txt file. This is the folder where I have that txt file. If I do all files here now, you notice that this is the txt file here. But Excel cannot handle this data. Excel can't handle it because it is a txt file. So what we can use to make Excel handle it is using Power Query. So let's go back to Power Query again. So I'll click on data, click on get data. I'll click on my launch Power Query editor. So once I click on launch Power Query editor, we have this environment here. I will now click on new source. So I will click on new source. I will click on file because my file is a txt file. So I'll choose the file option. We also have database, online services, and so on. So for now, I will choose the file option, and I will choose text. So file, and I will choose text. So once I choose text, I will choose the file of my choice. So this is the file I want to load into Power Query. You can see automatically that the file is showing. Unlike Excel, where I had to change some modifications to show it, I will simply have the file here, and I'll click on import. So once I click on import, so you give it some time to load. Now, this is the data that Excel cannot handle. Looking at this data now, you can see that it's a data that has to do with a transportation agency or transport company. It can be maybe your Ekene Delichuku, your Peace, your Libra, GO, or any other transport company you know about. So this is a data that deals with the transportation industry. But you couldn't open it with Excel because Excel cannot handle the file because it came in a txt format. But with Power Query now, you're able to load it and see how the data is structured. You have the trip ID, the vehicle ID, the vehicle type, the start time, the end time. That is when they started the journey and when they ended the journey. The start location, the end location, the distance that was covered, the fare that was paid, the driver ID, the route that was taken, the passenger count for each of that trip, and the trip dates when the trip occurred. This is a typical data you will see in the transportation industry. Now, this is where a data analyst comes in. A data analyst can work in any industry. A data analyst can work in any sector. It's not really a thing of a master, jack of all trade, master of none. No, data analyst is not a jack of all trade, master of none. This is just would I say is a benefit that is being given to data analysts. You can work in any sector, whether it's healthcare, whether it's finance, insurance, retail, sales, education, anywhere at all. You have the right to work in that industry. Reason being that all these sectors, all these industries, all these organizations deal with data. Anywhere a company deals with data, you must see a data person there. even if you're not doing data analysis, you will still find yourself handling data, either as a data entry person or as a data scientist or a machine learning engineer or a data engineer, but you must handle data. Any company that deals with customers' data must hire a data person to handle those data. So this is where a data analyst comes into the picture. And that is what we at Amdor Analytics is doing. We try to train you to become a full-fledged and industry-ready data analyst. I know that most of you might have joined us through our flyers, through maybe our LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook, or somewhere was through invites by the instructor or a friend. So the reason for this program is to introduce you to what you're expected to learn, the things you're expected to know as a data analyst, and Power Query is one of them. You can see how easy it is for me to load this TXT file into my environment and see the structure. If you don't know about Power Query, you will just end up being frustrated or asking yourself, what should you do to achieve this thing? There's nothing like impossibility in tech. I've not seen anything that seems impossible in tech or science. I don't know. But for tech, I've not seen anything that seems impossible in tech. The key question you ask yourself is, do you understand the requirements that is being given to you? If you understand the business requirement that's being given to you, there is nothing impossible in tech. Who is that, please? Who is that? Can you please mute your mic? So there is, as I was saying, there's nothing that seems impossible in tech if you understand what you're doing and if you understand your business use case. There is nothing you cannot achieve with a laptop and your software. Because that is the tech, right? For us here, that's our tech, our laptop, our light, our data, and the softwares we have. We now start coding or doing the analysis or whatever we are doing. So now I have the TXT file. I can now simply click on OK. I can now click on OK. Now, once I click on OK, you will realize that we now have that data now inside our environment. This is called the Power Query editor. This is called the Power Query editor, where you now begin to clean and transform your data. So in the case of maybe you want to extract some values, or you want to extract, you want to clean the data, or you want to standardize it, this is where you now start doing those things. This is where you do it in the Power Query editor. Power Query editor is where you do all those things. Now let's try to replicate what we did in our Excel when we try to extract the year from the trip date. We try to extract the year from the trip date. So let's try to see what will happen here if we do the same thing. Now in our Excel, we use the function, right? We use a text function to extract the year from the date. Now we have a trip date here. So let's see if we can extract the year here. Now, instead of me using a function, instead of me trying to figure out the function I will use, or maybe I'm trying to figure out which function I will use to get this, or how will I get this, Power Query has those things already predefined for you. So Power Query has those regular functions that they know that you will use already predefined for you. So no need for you to start learning too many functions. You just need to understand where will I find this particular command and how to apply it. So if I want to extract the year from this trip date, what I will do now is I will click on my add column. So my add column, I will choose the date option, and I will simply choose year, and I will choose my year option here. Now, if you look at this, it has automatically extracted the year for us. It has automatically extracted the year for us. Since we're in 2025, we have all our year the same. Now, let's try to extract the months. Now, in this case now, the month I am trying to extract is not the month number, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to extract the month's name, January, February, March, April, May, and so on, right? I want to extract the months. Now, because we are still, this data is based on January. It's based on January. You can see this is the month, the day, and the year. This month, this is based on January 1st. But we don't have that value here. What you are seeing is only the month number. But I want to extract the month name. Power Query also can help us achieve achieve that. So once I highlight the trip dates, I will come here, I'll choose my month, and I'll choose name of a month. Now you see that we now have that month values already generated for us. Now, if this was to be in Excel, you will have to start thinking of the function you use, the arguments to put in, whether you're writing the argument or not. You even go back to start using ChatGPT or all this AI to start asking questions. But just by clicking on a single command, you have gotten to your two values in just 2-3 seconds without even writing the function for it. You just simply click on a command and automatically you have your values. Now, I did something in Excel, right? I did something in Excel where I deleted that column. I extracted my year and I deleted the column. Now let's delete this column and see if these columns will break. Let me delete this column because this year and month name depends on the trip date. This year and the month name depends on the trip date. So let me delete this column and see if this one will break. So I will highlight this, right click, and I will remove it. So if I remove this, now you can see that I still have my year and month name intact. I have deleted the column that the year and the month name depends on, but still I still have my year and month name intact. It did not break, unlike Excel where we had the ref error. That is to say that the column that I depend on has been deleted. Because of that, I will give you an error. But here in Power Query, even though I deleted the column that these columns depend on, I still have my column intact. This is the beauty of Power Query. Now, how is it doing those things? It is doing it using the apply steps on the right here. So if you look at my right hand here, at the right side of your screen here, you will see the applied steps option here. This is the apply steps. Now in Power Query, we don't have this concept of control Z, unlike Excel, where you do a mistake, you press Control Z to undo your mistake. In Power Query, we don't have the concept of Control Z. What we have is apply steps. What we have is simply applied steps. So if I want to go to my previous steps, like something like I want to do a Control Z, I want to go back to my previous steps, I can just simply click on these steps. You can see that as I'm clicking it, I have my values the way it is. So this was how it was when I brought the data in. It stopped at the trip dates column. As I added new columns, it started bringing in the year, it brought in the month name, and it also removed the trip date column. But it did not break my column values. It still kept it intact. So this is the beauty of Power Query. Now in this case, Power Query has helped us solve one of the requirements, which is what? A TXT file. Power Query has helped us solve one requirement, which is a TXT file, which Excel cannot handle. So guys, I will want to take your question. If you have a question, any question, you can unmute your mic and ask based on what we have done so far. If you have any question around Power Query, Excel, anything at all based on what we are teaching here today, I would love to get your questions. If you don't want to say it here, you can still ask in the group chat. We'll be monitoring the group chat and we'll be taking your questions there. So keep the group chat interactive. Ask your questions in the group chat, and we will still answer you. Any question at all you have for the program or anything, ask in the group chat, or you can ask here or mute your mic and ask, and we'll get back to you.
Okay. So I want to ask a question.
Yes, you are free. Yeah.
So please, can you recap how to activate Excel in Power Query? Like how to activate Excel in Power Query? The steps, I didn't get it because of network.
So on your data tab, when you come to your data tab, here, you have your data tab. You click on Get Data. So when you click on Get Data, you will see Power Query Editor. You click on Power Query Editor, it will now bring you here. So on your Excel data tab, Get Data, you will, on the options that you will see Power Query Editor, click on the option, it will now bring you here. That's how you bring in Power Query from it. Any other question? Hope you got that. Any other question?
Yes, I got it. Thank you. I got it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Mr.
Yeah, good
Thank you
evening.
so,
Is it a question,
thank you
please?
so much for.
Who is speaking?
Oh,
I can't hear you.
yeah, Mr. Faye, I want to appreciate for
Yeah.
this. God bless you so much. Can you hear
All
me?
right. I can hear
Yeah,
you, sir. I can hear you, sir.
I want to know where exactly did you click? Because I'm following with my system. Where did you click to separate the date and time? Where exactly did you click? I'm trying to follow up my system to separate that date and time. So I can't find where you clicked. So please, can you?
Where I click, I didn't get it. Where I clicked where I clicked in the Power Query or
Yeah, the Power Query to separate the dates.
okay. Back to my Excel. So this is let me remove the steps. So let me go back to where I was before. So as I delete the steps, I'm back to my original data. So it's just like doing Control Z. So once you delete these steps, you just like doing your Control Z, and you're back to where you are. So this is the trip data I want to extract. I want to extract the month or the year. To highlight the column, go to your add column. On your add column, you will see dates. Choose dates, choose year, and choose year. So it gives you for your month the same thing. Highlight the dates because you want to get the value from the date column. You want to get the value from the dates column. So click on add column, dates. You choose, in this case, I'm looking for months. So I will choose month. I will choose name of month. So I have my values. So that is how you get the year and the month. Hope you got that. All right,
Yeah,
guys.
good evening.
God bless you.
Yes, yes,
Hello, sir. Please, I have a
Hello.
question.
yes. One at a time, please. What's your
Hello, good
question?
evening. I have a question.
Okay, the guy go first. What's your
Yeah,
question? The guy,
please.
wait.
I,
Yeah.
I want I want I want to ask that can we get the record version of the one? And secondly, I want to ask for the sake of we people that we are using phone, so that because the thing is not bold enough, you understand, to see where you are clicking. And also, how can we get this power query? On my system now, I only have a zero on it. So where can we download or get the power query? So that's the three questions.
Okay. For obviously you will get the recording. If you're in the group chat, you'll get the recording after class, so you can watch the videos. Now I didn't get your second question, but for the third one, the Power Query is not something you download. It's not something you install. It comes by default with Excel. Please, if your mic is on, mute your mic. If your mic is on, please mute your mic, please, so you don't distract the class. So Power Query is not something you install or a software you download. It comes by default with Excel. It comes once you have an updated version of Excel. So something like Excel 216, Excel 219, 221, Excel 365. By default, you have Power Query installed for you. So Power Query is an engine that comes embedded with Excel. It's just like your Play Store coming by default with your Android phone, or your Chrome browser coming by default with your Android phone. So you don't need to install it. It is there by default for you. What you just need to do is have an updated version of Excel, whether Excel 216, 219, 221, or Excel 365. So if your version is lower than this, you might not get Power Query. That means if you're using 213, 213, 27, 23, you might not get Power Query. You might have to look for a workaround. But when you are using 216 and above, you should get Power Query automatically. Just on the data tab there, once you click on your data tab, there, you're seeing get data, right? You're seeing get data, and you choose the option. So that's it. Update your Excel and you get Power Query by default. All right. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Yeah, the lady with the question.
Okay,
What's your
sir.
question?
Please, my question is, in a case where we have a data set having millions of rows, like the example you gave earlier, and we want to
Yes.
extract it with Power Query, how how then do we work on that data set since we cannot work with everything? Is it that we have to extract some part of it, maybe let me say 1 to 1,000 or something like that? Does it mean that we have to extract some part of it and work on it? If yes, how do we then extract that part of it?
So when you have a record that is 2 million, 3 million, you can't extract half a part of it. You have to extract everything. So you can't cut your data, because once you shorten your data, the insights you're getting for it from it is will no longer be valid, because you're having distorted data. So if you have 2 million rows of data or 3 million rows of data, you have to import everything into Excel, and Power Query makes it possible. So no need to shorten it up. The same way you imported your TXT file, right? The same way you imported your TXT file, you also use it to import your file. So the file can be in an Excel format. So that is why you should come for tomorrow's session. Tomorrow's session is focused on downloading or importing data that has more than 1 million or 2 million rows of data. That is where you will see it in practice. But today is to show you how to just to introduce you to Power Query, show you what it can do, and do some maybe small manipulation. But if you want to see how to import data that is up to 3-4 million rows into Excel using Power Query, you have to be available for tomorrow's section. So, but yes, you can import data that has 2, 3, 5 million, 10 million into Excel using Power Query. The limit of a Power Query is your laptop memory. That is the limit of Power Query. If you have low memory, like you have low RAM, your RAM is too small, or your processor is too small, or maybe your drive is a hard disk and not SSD, you might encounter some lag. That is, your laptop might hang at some point, because it is trying to allocate memory to Power Query, because Power Query needs memory for it to load those large data, because something Excel cannot handle. Imagine Power Query handling it. Something Excel cannot handle, and Power Query is trying to handle it. That means Power Query needs all the help and support it can get, and that is the memory of your computer. So your computer will allocate enough memory to it. So if you have less memory in your computer, Power Query will be limited. But when you have something like, let's say, 8 gig, 12 gig, 15 gig, 30 gig of RAM, you have a processor of 2.8, 3.8, or 4.8 speed of a processor with SSD. There's nothing you cannot do with Power Query. There's nothing you cannot do with Power Query. So if you want to see your question answered in action, come to tomorrow's session. That is not our topic for today, but I'll just
Okay,
give it to you
sir.
as a use
Thank you
case.
very much.
Yeah. Any
Okay,
other
sir. Thank you.
question?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. I'm clarified on this, but there's something I want to understand better. Does it mean that I can actually analyze using Power Query Editor, since I will be loading my data with millions of rows in my Power Query Editor? Does it mean that I can analyze that data set in Power Query Editor and prepare my dashboard there?
No, you can no. I love your question, because your please mute your mic. Please mute your mic. Please, this question is very important. Let's uh, uh, understand this question. Now we have data that is more than Excel's limits. This is a very nice and interesting question. We have data that is more than Excel limits. It is 3 million, or let's say 4 million. Now, Excel cannot handle it. And we all know that we can use Excel to analyze data, right? We can use Excel to plot our bar charts, pie charts, histogram, and so on. Now, we have a data that we did not load through Excel. We load the data through Power Query. That is, Power Query can handle that data set. So the data we loaded went through Power Query. Now it is time to analyze that data. Do we analyze the data in Power Query, knowing that if we load the data back to Excel, Excel will break. because we are trying to avoid the data going to Excel. Now, if the data goes back to Excel, Excel will break because it can't handle that data set. So what do we do? The answer is you can't analyze the data the data you have, you can't analyze it in Power Query. You have to go back to Excel and analyze it. So even though you're running away from Excel, you will still go back to Excel to analyze it. But to do that, come for tomorrow's session. You see how it's done. Today is just to connect to the data set. To see it in action tomorrow, how to load the Power Query and take it back to Excel for your visuals. Please come for tomorrow's session. That is where you see it in action.
Okay, thank you very much. This is interesting.
Yeah. All right. Any other question, please? Please, I'd love to take your questions. Anything that confuses you at all, try to answer, no matter how dumb or stupid
Hello?
it is. Yes.
Hello?
I can hear
Good
you.
evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, so I want to ask just one question. How can I get the free version of the Microsoft 360?
If I go to correctly, how to get the free version of 365. Honestly,
Yeah.
honestly, I really don't know. But what I know is that those people, if you're living in an area where you have this computer village something, you can go to them to install the software for you. But if you know how to use YouTube, you can search install Microsoft Office 365 on Windows. If you're using Windows, you will see options, results that you can use to install. So either you go to Computer Village to install, or you use your YouTube, search how to install Office 365 in Windows or Mac or any software you're using. It will give you options that you can watch and follow the instruction and download it and do it from there. I think that's what I can say to that. Hope you got me. All right. Since there's not that question, let's quickly, please, whose mic is on? Can you please mute your mic so you don't distract the class, please? If your mic is on, please don't distract us. So let's quickly do one more example. Now we have looked at how to import a TXT file, which Excel cannot handle using Power Query. Now, if I now want to load this back to Excel, it's now as simple as clicking on close and load. So on my home tab, I will click on close and load. I will choose close and load to. So let me choose close and load to. I will choose close and load to. So here I will choose table. I will choose table here. I will choose table, and I will simply click on OK. Okay, this is this is wrong here. So I'll choose, okay, I'll click on table and I'll click on OK. Let's see if it will work. So I'll choose table and click on OK. So let's see if it will work. Now it's telling us external data getting data. Now, automatically, that data that Excel couldn't load, Excel now has it inside its rows and columns. Previously, Excel was telling you this data is in TXT file. Please, my hand is off it. I cannot load it. I cannot import it. I cannot use it to do anything. I don't know how to work with TXT files. Now, Power Query said, no problem. I'll handle it for you. Once I'm done, I'll send it back to you for you to analyze and do your visuals. So Power Query is just there to help Excel do some tasks that Excel cannot handle, such as importing data that Excel cannot handle, TXT files, JSON files, online files, large data sets that Excel cannot handle. Power Query will take care of it. Database files that Excel cannot import, Power Query takes care of. So Power Query is just like a mediator between the source and Excel. So it stands at the middle of the source of the data and Excel. So if Excel cannot handle it, Power Query comes in, handle it for Excel, and send it back to Excel. So here now, you can see we have all our data set the way it is. Both the year we extracted and the month name that we extracted is back to Excel. We can now start doing the analysis. So for us who know how to do pivot table, this is where you now come in. Oh yeah, you start doing your pivot table, you plot your graph, you do all this one. At the end of the day, you finish analysis and you call yourself a data analyst. We clap for you. So this is how easy it is with a Power Query. So this is one option that is down, right? We have solved one use case, which is a TXT file that is in our business requirements. Maybe tomorrow we'll also look at the HTML version of it, but let's look at the TXT, and now let's look at the database. Now, for some of us here, we know how to use the database, or we might have encountered a database, either Oracle, MySQL, Postgres, SQL Server, MongoDB, Cassandra. So I'm just calling them to be in case you have maybe encountered one of them at a point of your career. So all these are database, and we store our data in this database. So if data is stored in this database, how do we import data from those database into Excel? That is where Power Query comes in. Now let's go to our database. Let's go to our database. So this is my database here. This is SQL Server database. This is SQL Server database. Let me connect to it. I think I've not connected. So I'm connected to my database now. This is SQL Server database. Let me connect to it. Now, we have a database here named Mavis Store. Please, if you don't know about the database, don't worry, because most of the time you won't be doing this thing. Yours is just to connect to the data source. Most of the time as an analyst, you might not be creating the database. What you'll be doing is to connect to the data source. But I want to show you how this thing works, so you begin to have a mental understanding of how this thing works in practice. You have a database here. So when I come here and so let's wait a bit for it to come up. So we have a database here named Mavis Store. And inside that Mavis Store, we have tables named department, employees, and section. Now let me run just a simple query. For those of you that know a database, this will be something easy for you. So just run a query on departments. So when I run this now I have departments, department ID, and the department's name. When I run for employees, I have my employees table and I have my departments table, right? I have my employee table and I have my departments table. Now, this table is stored in a database. It's stored in a database. Now, you're being told to use Excel to load it to your Excel sheets so that you can use it to plot your graph. Because you can't plot a graph in a database. You can't plot your graph in a database. Though in recent times now, all this with new updates, you can do some little graph with your database, but it is not as authentic and, let's say, and widely okay and acceptable like when you're using Excel or using Power BI. But in the case of a database, it is just used to record and store your data. Now you want to move this data from your database into Excel to plot your visuals, and Excel cannot do it. Power Query to the rescue. So let's look at it in using Power Query. I'm showing you the data. This is our employee table, and this is our department table. You have seen it here. Let's see how to connect it with Power Query and bring it to Excel. So back to our Excel environment here. Again, you click on data, you click on get data, and you click on launch Power Query editor. Now you can also not decide to use not to use this launch Power Query editor. You can decide just to use from database here, because the options are here already. Instead of you to go here and start doing it from that editor, you can still start from here and start connecting. Now my database is a SQL Server database. My database is a SQL Server database. So I will choose SQL Server. I will choose SQL Server as my database. So once I choose SQL Server, it will wait for it to load. It is asking us for the server name. So the server name is my name here. So this is the server name. It's asking us the database name. Now, if you look at my environment here, the database name is what? Is Mavis Store. This is the database name, Mavis Store. My server name is Aviator. You can see it's a SQL server. My server name is Aviator, and the database is a Mavis store. So let's go back. So though it is saying optional here, I will have to put the database. If I leave it, it will give me every database I have in my SQL server. So I want to choose only a particular database and not an optional, because if you leave it empty, it will go and choose everything you have in your server there. But I want to choose only a particular database. So I will write my Mavis Mavis store. Please write it exactly the way it is there, so it doesn't make a mistake or clash. So these ones I can just leave it as optional. So my server name and my database name. So I'll just click OK. Already I have my server, but that's my database already active. So I'll click on OK. Let's see what will happen. So it's trying to connect to my database now. So let's see what will happen. You give it some time to load, because it takes time to connect. Now we have the table. Now you can see that all those tables we saw in our SQL server is now inside Power Query. This is called your Power Query Navigator. We have the editor and we have the navigator. The navigator is just there to give you a preview of your data. It's just there to give you your data preview. But the editor is where you now do your real transformation. It is where you now do your transformation and your cleaning. But the navigator is just there to give you a data preview. You want to see how your data is defined or how it's structured. You can use the navigator. So I'll choose the departments and the employees. Remember, because I want to choose two tables, I click on select multiple items because I want to choose two tables. Choose on select multiple items. So I'll choose this and this, and I'll click on transform data. I will choose transform data because I want to transform it. When I click on transform data, it takes us to the Power Query editor. The first one was the navigator, where you have your data preview. The next one will now be your editor, where you now start doing your transformation. All right, so this is our editor, right? This is our editor, and you have your data. So you leave it for some time to load. Give it some time to load. It takes time because it's trying to get all those data from the database into this environment. You know, it's just like leaving your house and going to another person's house. You have to take time to adapt and understand how that in place is before you finally settle down. So let's give it some time to load. It's taking too much time now. Let's wait for some time. Now this is now worrisome. Why is it taking time to load? Okay, so we have our data. I was beginning to worry what is keeping it. So you see, we have our data here. We have the departments and we have the employees. So this is the employee table, and this is the department table. So we have our two table here. Now, if you're being told now you are finished doing this and you want to load it back to, let me delete this since I don't need this again. Let me delete this. Now we have our departments and we have our employees. Now this is coming from what? Coming from a database. Now we want to load this into Excel for analysis. We want to load it back to Excel for analysis. So you simply click on your close and load. Remember, you can still do some. So tomorrow we're looking at merge queries and append queries. So we'll look at some of important things here. Also with what our sister asked us, how to load large data sets, which is data that has 5-10 million rows. How to load it. We'll look at it in tomorrow's session. But today is just to connect to a database and to connect to a TXT file. Tomorrow we'll focus on data on large files and how to handle it. So I'll go to close and load, and I'll choose close and load to. Close and load to. I'll choose close and load to. I'll always choose table. Please, for now, always choose table. Tomorrow will show us when you should choose other options. But for now, always choose table. leave it as default, leave everything as default, and click on OK. Click on OK. Now let's see. So it's opening a new sheet. You can see it's telling us external data, getting data, external data, getting data. So it has already on its own created an employee sheet and a department sheet. So it is loading the data and try to move it. Give it some time. When you're doing this thing, please be patient. Don't rush your steps. Always be patient when doing analysis. This is not something you rush. It's not something you do in 10, 30, 40 minutes. No. There's some work I will get. I might stay 2 days, I might stay a day trying to understand it and clean it. So this is a really brain tasking task. A company is not paying you in dollars or paying you huge amount of money just to rush analysis for them. No. They are paying you money so that you help them generate insights. And it means that you need to pay attention to what you're doing. You need to pay ardent attention to what you're doing before you begin to do analysis. So we see that the table we have in our database is now inside our Excel sheet. So from here, you can now start doing your analysis. You can now start doing your analysis. Now, because we have 2 sheets, you might start looking for ways to join the two the sheet together, right? So you have departments here. Now you want to bring these departments into the employee sheets, because this is departments and it is in another sheet, and you have employees here, and you want to bring it into this sheet. So what you now do is you start coming between your VLOOKUP or your XLOOKUP. For those of us that know XLOOKUP or VLOOKUP in Excel, you start doing your VLOOKUP or your XLOOKUP. But if you don't know it, that's why we are still here. That's why we are under Amdor Analytics. We take you from zero to hero. We take you from not knowing at all to giving you the most important concept, the most important tools, the software that you need to learn to master data analytics. And we not only stop there, we try to mentor you. We give you mentorship sessions after your program. We'll still talk about those ones when we get there. So you now start doing your VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, and so on, just to get data. But you can still use Power Query to connect to data sources without doing your VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP or index or match. Come for tomorrow's session if you want to learn all these ones. This is the ones that are reserved for tomorrow's session. So if you want to understand how to merge 2 or 3 data sets without doing your VLOOKUP or doing all those concatenates, come for tomorrow's session. Tomorrow's session will be impactful, even more than today. We have it packed for you. Just need to be present for tomorrow. So guys, I would love to take your questions from here. We have looked at how to connect to a TXT file, which Excel cannot handle. We have looked at how to connect to a database, which Excel cannot connect to, using Power Query. So this is the automation we are talking about. Things that Excel cannot do by default, things that the native Excel can do by default, Power Query can do it for you in an automated way. Who can imagine that you can connect to your database and bring the data back to Excel? In the past, those things were not available. In the past, those things were hard to do. What we do that time is, once you get your data in a database, you now save it as a CSV file and now manually import it to Excel and start doing your analysis. Now, what if the data is now large, more than Excel can handle? You are now freezed. You don't know what to do again. That is how Power Query came into the picture. It tried to build upon the limitations of Excel. Some of the Excel limitations when it comes to data connection, data cleaning, and data preparation. Remember, Power Query is just there for your data transformation. That is your cleaning, your preparation, and to connect to different data sources. But when it comes to doing your visuals or doing your analysis, Power Query will tell you, bye-bye, I can't do that one again for you. My job is just to get your data from any source at all, So when you come to your data tab and go to get data, you have different sources, even from a PDF file. You can get data from a PDF file, from database, you have different database from online services. For those of us that know about cloud computing, you have different services. So this is how you use Power Query. But when it comes to doing your analysis, Power Query will tell you my work is over. See you next time. So Power Query is telling you that my work is over for today. I will see you in tomorrow's session. So I would love to take your questions briefly before I continue on the slides. So any question, please, I would love to
Yes,
take it.
sir. Okay, thank you very much, sir. This is becoming more interesting. Please, sir, you said you can get data from any source using the
Yes,
help of Power Query Editor. Now, my question
yes.
is, can we get data from Microsoft Word, assuming there is a table done on Microsoft Word, someone that is not used to analysis, and you want to help the person analyze such data, and the person has already typed it in Microsoft Word. Can I bring it in and analyze it or work on it with my
You will have to, yes, that's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. You will have to convert that Microsoft Word to a PDF, because there's how you convert a Microsoft Word to a PDF. So you have to convert that Microsoft Word to a PDF. But there is a catch there. There's a catch there. The catch is that the data you want to import into Power Query must be in a tabular format. So if the data is in Microsoft Word, that data needs to be built in the form of a table. So you insert a table inside Microsoft Word, and you now input those data in table formats. If the data is not in table format, Power Query will find it difficult to interpret that data. Because what Power Query does is, when it comes to your the data source, it looks at your format of your data and passes through it. So it kind of it scan through your data source. If it sees anything that resembles a table structure, it will pick it up. So that is what Power Query does. So if you want it to get data from your Word document, you need to make that data to be in tabular format, and you have to convert it to a PDF. So when you now connect with Power Query, you can see that Power Query has a PDF option. It will now scan through the PDF and pick that tabular format and import it to the Power Query editor. I hope that is clear.
Wow. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Guys, I'm taking question, please. Any question? I would love to get your question. Paul, you have a question. Or see where Paul, you have a question. Your hand is up. You can just unmute and ask your question if you have a question. So guys, I don't know if you are aware, but we like I told you, this is a program that is hosted by an organization called Amdor Analytics. Who has a question, please? Obiajuru Lilian, do you have a question? Please unmute and ask if you have a question.
Okay. Okay. Good evening.
I have a question.
Okay. Yeah, but hello. Who is playing music? Who is playing music, please? I can't. Oh no. I can't take this, please. If you're in a noisy.
Hello, sir.
Please. Yes. Who is asking? Yes.
Said, how can you handle null values in Power Query? What is the best way to handle null values in Power Query?
Null values. Now, null values, it depends. All these answers, it will always be it depends. Now, when you have let me give you an instance with Excel. Let me give you an instance with Excel. So when you have in a particular row, you have all null values like this. You have in a particular row, let's say on row 22 now, this row now, we have null values. Or let me insert some columns here. So we have in this row 15 and row 17, we have empty rows. So it means that there's no data at all in this row. So I can easily delete this row, right? Because there is no value in it. So it contains null values entirely. Like I can easily delete it. But if there is, for example, there is an ID assigned to it, right? I have an ID now assigned to this row, and I have some few other information, assigned to this row, and other rows are empty. Now you can't just walk in and delete this row, because some of the columns or some of the cells of this row has values in it. So you can just walk in and delete it because you're having null values here. So this is where what we say in analytics, you go back to your data source. So your data source might be faulty. There'll be something in your data source that did not capture these other values, because for you to have an employee ID and to have a higher date and also have a salary, that means this data belongs to a particular employee. But something happened during the data importation or during data joining and everything that made them to omit the name and possibly the department ID. So you need to go back to your data source to find the root cause of the problem. That is for this one. But if you have an entire empty row, you have no need to maybe start going to the data source, because everything in the row is empty. It has all null values for all the cells in that row. So it is safe to delete the row because you have all null values. But when some of the cells have values in it, please don't delete it. You have to consult with the source of the data first before you delete. So the answer is it depends on how the data came into you. I hope that's clear.
And I noticed that after loading my data to Power Query, I observed after changing bringing out the year from the base column, I observed some errors. Is it okay to just delete the errors?
That's what I'm telling you. I said it depends. You need to understand the cause of the error, where it's coming from. You don't just delete an error. You need to understand how the error is coming from. Because if you delete it, it could be that you're deleting an important data. You don't just delete rows anyhow. No. You can delete columns easily because maybe the column is not part of your analysis question. But you can't delete rows anyhow. You need to be sure that this row you're deleting is not required. So if you're getting that errors, you need to go
So
and
what if
verify.
there is no way, like I've checked and I can't find anywhere the error is coming from.
That's what I'm saying now. So if you have
What
checked
am
and
I
you're
to do at
verified,
that point or at this
if
point?
you have verified and you're sure that there is no maybe the error is okay, you can simply remove it. But the point is you need to verify properly before you delete. Don't just delete. Make sure that you have cross-checked, you have crossed you have dotted your I's and crossed your T's before you start deleting. That is when you're sure that okay, this thing is an error properly, you can delete. But don't just delete it because you have the right to delete. Be sure that it is wrong before you delete it. So that's what I can say about it. Any other question? Any other question, please? I have two persons raising their hand here. I don't know if you have a question. Ekene and Paul. I don't know if you have a question. Your hand is up. All right. So if there's no question, I want to.
Yeah, sir. Please, yeah. Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you, sir.
Hello?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. I had wanted earlier to. I wanted to ask you recap how you got the data from database through Power Query to Excel.
You will have to.
Area is a bit noisy.
You will have to watch. Yeah, you will have to watch your recording. I'm already out of time. They're already calling me to round up. So you have to watch your recording once it comes out. You get access to the recording. You can watch the recording. I don't know which group you came from. Any group you're coming from, just be certain that you get the recording for the bootcamp. You can rewatch the recording. I'm already out of time for today, so they will not come and push me out for the meeting.
Okay.
But just know that the recording will be available for you, which you can rewatch later. So guys, like I said, we are an organization called Amdor Analytics, and we focus on training people to become data analysts. So if you really want to learn data analysis, you have to come to Amdor Analytics. So we focus on Excel, Power BI, and SQL. And if you look at the topics here, most of you might not know it, some of you might know it. But the thing is this: you can't become a proficient data analyst if you don't go through Excel, Power BI, and SQL. There is no hidden truth about it. You must go through these courses if you really want to become a data analyst. And there is no other organization that is doing it better than Amdor Analytics. We have been doing it for years. Like I've said, we have students from all over the world. Even some of them currently in our program are in this meeting. I don't want to start calling them, but I know that I saw some names and I know that yes, they are here. They can still vouch for us on what we are doing currently in our current cohorts. So it's not something that we are saying come and pay us and we will not give you what you want. We focus on value. We are meant to give you value.
Hi, fine.
Oh, Madam Fumi,
Hi,
well
fine.
done,
Can
ma.
you hear me?
Yeah,
No, not Madam for me. This is Chinyere.
okay.
Yeah, for me, is for me here.
She's here. I don't know if she have left.
I'm sorry for jumping in. So I would like to take Fumi. Fumi, I know I can see you, Fumi, at Delhi. So if Fumi can just give us a 2 minutes testimonial on her program so far with Amda Analytics. I know she joined our program last month. Hi, Fumi, can you hear me, please? Hello, Fumi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me as well?
Yeah, I can hear you. Please, can you? I know this is impromptu, right? I didn't inform you of this earlier, but that's actually fine. So I would like to get a feedback. Can you please mute the other device? You're using two devices.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry,
can
I
we
was
get
using two
a?
devices because let me quickly log out from one of them.
Okay.
I, I've done that now, so I'm just on one. Yeah,
Okay,
well,
can
I
we
will
get your
encourage
honest,
every.
honest review on the program so far? Your honest review on the program so far since you started.
In all fairness, because I just started in January. It's barely 3 weeks, and
Yeah.
this is Amdor Analytics isn't the first company that I will register with, but I will
Okay.
recommend it anywhere. Let me tell you one of the reasons. I've had quite a number of tutors. I told Miss Ifine that I will not pack out until I get this done, until I'm able to bag it. Good job. And because I didn't want to forget it. But when I started with them, I realized that this is a company that will take you back to the basis. Amdo, it hasn't been long I started, but I could see a dynamic way of approaching the teaching. The way Mr. If yeah, I might be one of his troublesome students, but he's never tired of listening, answering questions. Like what you know, ask him 1 million times, he will answer you again. If there is no time to do it, I bet you the next class, that will be the first thing he would never forget. And another amazing thing is for every step you take with Amdo, you have an assignment to practice what you've learned. You can, I don't know, I've not seen a tutor that you will send a message to at 2 a.m. midnight and he will respond to you. There was a day I was like, hey, coach, you don't sleep at all. What's the problem? Any time of the day, maximum of 5-10 minutes. His response is giving you a direction. He's so sincere with his learning. He will tell you that if you're stuck, this is how you can use AI to help you. This is how you can use the internet to find out information. As in, he's not acting as if he's all knowing, he knows all, despite the fact that he has answer for every question. But what if you don't have someone there to ask? It will also direct you to where you can. I think I saw one of the posts and I was like, hey, I would recommend Amdo any day, anyway. They push you to do much more than what you think you can do. I don't know if there's someone here that is really, really willing and be ready to take up the challenge to provoke his or her vision. If it is indeed you want to move from jumping from one office to another, be realistic with your goals, anyways. Be very realistic. Don't expect I'm going to give you a tax. You're not doing it, and you still want them. You want, I don't know. You shouldn't have too much expectations of them, but they are doing beyond what you can. Let me just stop there. If you come on board, you will understand better. I'm telling you, I've done it before. I've paid in pounds to learn elsewhere, but Amdor is different. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you very much for me. Thank you very much. I know I didn't inform you of this, and that's actually to actually prove to others that are listening to us that we don't cook any stories here. We don't ask you to come and act for looks. We don't do RNG here. So what we do here is honest, like sincere truth about our program. When my colleague is just telling us about the other things we need to learn and to become a professional in this area, he was just saying it, and I was like, why, guy, you can't, because I know you have your students here who can actually help you to do this more than you are doing it. One thing about us here at Amdor Analytics is that sometimes we actually don't know how to do it, and our students help us to do it. Like they pray and okay, it's actually showing you, right? It's actually showing. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending. And the truth here, there is nowhere, just like Fumi said, there is nowhere you can get it better. We've gotten a lot of students that have actually done this program somewhere else, not just one platform. All those mighty edtech companies that you are hearing their names out there, we've gotten a lot of students that have done programs with them. And when they come to Amdor Analytics, they will tell you, come on, this is the best platform you can actually start your career path with. And the amazing thing about our programs, you don't need any prior knowledge. Like somebody asking my colleagues, do I need to have any prior knowledge? Do I need to go and learn Excel first? Do I need to go and learn Power BI first? Do I need to go and learn how to use maybe laptop first? You don't need those things, right? All you need is yourself. Get ready, register for the program, and see magic happen within space of weeks. Okay, for me, has spent about 3 weeks with us now at Amdor Analytics, and she's giving you this. If you go to her LinkedIn, she's there. If you go to her LinkedIn, you will see amazing things that she's doing for herself. And these are the people that just started in less than 1 month. Okay, so if you are still contemplating, am I to start this program or should I wait for next month? Let me tell you something. There is no best time to start your career path. There is no best time to start this. So why not start now? Why not start pushing that goal? And the thing is that we have limited slots. Yeah, we have limited slots. Over to you, Ifeanyi. Thanks for your time.
All right. Thank you, China, for that. And also, Madam Fumi, thank you for coming out to speak honestly about the program. I didn't even know that you're still here. So, guys, that's it from our boss. And also from one of our students. This is an honest testimonial of what we have been doing here. So, like I said, we will stop here for tonight. Please, I would love to see you tomorrow. I would love to see you tomorrow. Don't miss tomorrow. For some of you that are saying this is getting interesting, yes, it is. It will be more than interesting tomorrow. The recording will be available to you, but please try and attend lessons tomorrow. You see how it's happening. There's nothing like having a one-on-one interaction with your teacher, with your instructor, and you're asking direct questions. I know that you all enjoyed today's session. I will not, for no doubt, I will say that you all enjoyed today's session. So with that same energy, with that same curiosity, please come with that same mindset tomorrow. We'll still meet tomorrow by 7 p.m. Nigerian time. So that's all from my end for today. Any other question before we call it a night? Is there any other question? Someone has any other question from your own end or anything to say at all before we call it a night?
Yes, I want to ask a question.
Yes.
I have a question. Okay.
All right.
The lady should go first.
Okay. Success, can you go? Success, can you go?
Okay, good evening, sir. Although,
Yeah.
sorry, I came late due to network issues. Please, if someone wants to enroll about the program, so how can the person be enrolled?
Okay. Chin, are you there? Can you pick up this question?
Yeah, so you are getting the payment link across all platforms now. We are sending it across all platforms, right? So just make your payment. And there's one thing about our program, you can actually pay twice. So it's not a one-time payment. You can pay twice. And if you want to pay once, no problem, okay? So you can pay twice. And for data analytics program is, for now, we're on 100,000 naira discount. So instead of you to pay 400,000 naira, you are paying 300,000 naira for the space of these 3 months.
for the 5 months program that you are going to be doing here with Amdor Analytics is 5 months training, 4 months training, and 1 month internship program. That's 5 months program. So you are going to be learning all these things, and of course, just like I said, you are getting the payment link. I'm going to be sending it. My colleagues or myself, we're going to be sending it across all social media, all platforms, all WhatsApp group this night. Before 2 minutes, you'll be seeing it. They start sending it already.
Thank you.
So all you need to do is to make payments, make a financial commitment, upload your receipt, and your process, your enrollment process will start. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Okay. If also success, I don't know where you're coming from. I don't know if you're in the groups or maybe you came from direct invites. If you're not in the group, you can still maybe send me a direct message. Maybe you may not be in the groups that where the links have been shared. I don't know where most of you came. I shared the links in different places. Even those my friends that shared it across and friends that shared it to their friends. So if you are not getting the link for the groups, you can still send me a direct message on WhatsApp. Because I know at yes, you might have my number, and I will help you and direct you. All right, over to you, Payemi. Are you there? I thought he has a question.
I didn't catch your question.
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, please, when you start earlier, you talk about the size of the feature that this laptop you can use to do this data analysis, especially the one you teach us today. I just want to ask if you can recommend for us, because like me now, the laptop I'm using is just a mini laptop. I have mini laptop, and when you are talking, I discovered that I don't think my laptop can do this type of work. You understand? Maybe you can recommend the type of laptop for us, the size, the RAM, and the processor that the laptop must have. I mean the limit, so that I will be able to get it.
Okay. All these things, right? Everything depends on money. I know that you're loaded actually, but I know all these things depends on money. So if I'm to recommend, always go from anything that has to do with Core i5, i7. Core i5, Core i7, generation from 8. So Core i5 or Core i7, generation 8, 9, 10. Don't go for anything below 8, generation 8 or generation 9. So if you're going for i5, go for Core i5, generation 9 or 10. For i7, generation 9 or 10 also. The RAM, at least, if it's small, anything small, it should be 8 gig. Let's say it is small at all, maybe because of your budget and the money is getting too much. If it is small, lowest you can go for is 8 gig RAM. The processor of the laptop, which is the CPU processor, at least 2.8 or minimum 2.5 for the processor. 2.5. If you still have 2.8 or 3.0, it's still fine. So Core i5 generation 8, 9, 10, Core i7 generation 8, 9, 10. The RAM should be minimum of 8 gig, but if you can still get 10, 12 and above, it's still fine depending on your budget. For the processor, 2.8, 2.5 is fine. For the drive, which is your hard drive, please go for SSDs. Try to avoid hard disk drive. SSD is better. This is a solid state drive. Don't go for a hard disk drive. Go for a solid state drive. But if you still have friends who are into hardware or who understand this thing, an honest friend who can give you the best in the market, just tell them about this spec I have given you and see if they will approve it. But this is at least a spec that will help you start properly. It's a solid state drive, a RAM of at least 8 gig, processor of 2.8, and the RAM I call i5 or i7 of generation 9, 8, 9, and 10. That's all I can do for that. But if you have friends that are good in these things, reach out to them and they will help you.
Okay, thank you so much. Please, all these feature that you just mentioned, because network is not good here, so I was not able to hear everything. I will appreciate if you can help us to send it to the group, to the WhatsApp group also, so that because I have a friend in computer community, so that I can screenshot it to him
Okay,
to help
okay,
me
no
to
worries. Okay,
get
okay,
the
no problem. No problem. I will. I
thank
will.
you.
Yeah. So, guys, another question. We are almost running out of time. So, please, the links will be shared across the different platforms. Please come and join us. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait to maybe when you get more. You can start instrumentally, like my boss said. You can start instrumentally. Make this financial commitment to your career. Last year you said you want to learn tech. You're almost 1 month out of 2005, 2025, and you have not even started. Make a commitment to your future. Make a commitment to your future and see your life transform around. You have been hearing about data analysts are earning this, earning that. Why not join and jump into the bandwagon of those earning that money? Why will you stay by the roadside and watching those earning? Why you say, how I wish it's me, how I wish it's me? It can be you if you make that commitment. It can be you tomorrow if you make that commitment. Most of you know me outside here. You know me outside here, and you know, yes, and this is what I do, and I'm not a new person in this industry. So please, I am encouraging you. Take it from me. I'm encouraging you to make this commitment for your future. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait till next month. Don't wait till next 2 months. If it's finance, try to pay instrumentally. Try to pay instrumentally, and you see yourself completing within 2-3 months, and you're done with it, and you get the career you want. So that's all from my own end. So since there's no other question, I want to thank everyone for coming out for today's session. I really appreciate. Really appreciate. We have up to 19, 20 students that came out today to this session. I really appreciate. Please invite your friends. If you found this interesting, please invite your friends tomorrow. Invite your friend. Let them invite their friends. Please. This is an interesting session that you don't want to miss for tomorrow. So from my own end, I will tell you whether you're in the morning or afternoon or evening, I'm greeting you based on your time zone. We will see tomorrow, 7 p.m. Nigerian time. So have a wonderful day, afternoon, or evening. Take care, everyone.